Are you looking to learn more about your spiritual journey? Are you on a healing journey? Have you tried conventional ways of healing but didn't get the results you desired? If so, this podcast is for you. My name is Reverend Dr. Jackie Cope, and I'm a metaphysical minister, intuitive guide, and teacher. Here at Raven Rabbit, we believe that your ancestors, spiritual guides, and divine self are ready and eager to help you heal and prosper. We approach life, healing, and happiness through a holistic, indigenous spiritual lens to create the lives we want. Join me to radically change your life today. Hello, and welcome to episode 35. Post Malone and I fell in love. I'm so excited to be recording this episode. It's quite silly, but it has some deep meaning, and I really hope you get a lot out of it and can just reflect on your own personal love story with yourself. So, my title here, Post Malone and I fell in love. It really happened in my dream. It was amazing. It was beautiful. But let me back up a little about how I ended up there first. So last week, I had some pretty intense dreams. Oh, I want to back up even further than just last week with my intense dreams. Let me go back a little bit further. So, Raven Rabbit is about indigenous ways of healing life and happiness. So, it's common knowledge to me and I take it for granted, but in my tribe, dreamers are very respected and dreams are very important in my tribe. It's something that was just ingrained in me that always had meaning. So I never take my dreams for granted. And I know my dreams typically always mean something. I'll have some silly random ones here and there that may not have a lot of meaning, but most of the time, my dreams do have a lot of meaning. And in my tribe, I've been doing some reading. Let me look at the book here. Washoe Religion by James Downs. He wrote about my tribe for at the time, I would say pretty extensively. This was also referred to me by my language teacher. So, it's a little vetted here. And it got into how some people are dreamers. And this is what my grandmother always talked about, and my mother. And these dreams, when you're gifted the dreams, um, you can't get rid of the dreams. Like once you're a dreamer, and it's basically power. And a lot of times people who were dreamers typically led the path of becoming Indian doctors. And that's what my tribe called it. That was the English translation for it, not the actual Washoe word. And it it's just dreams are very important. So the way I write my books too, I typically always dream my stories and my information. So I revere my dreams as well. So last week, now I can get into my dreams. Last week, I had some wild dreams. At the beginning of the week, I had a very intense dream. I don't remember the details or anything of it. I used to keep a dream journal, and that's probably something I should go back to. But after brain surgery, I've just been trying to sleep. But I had a dream that I intensely fell in love with this American Indian guy. It was a modern story, modern times, just regular life. And I had met this American Indian man. I don't even know what his name was or anything, but I had this very vivid dream of falling in love with him. And it was such an intense feeling. So a lot of times my dreams feel extremely real. And sometimes I wake up and it's hard to remember like my present time and where I'm at. So I have never had a dream where I intensely fell in love with somebody. And it was so strange. And it wasn't even in a romantic way either. It wasn't like I had all these romantic feelings for him. I just deeply fell in love with him and was madly in love with him. And the other part of me too, when I woke up from that dream, I knew. I told my partner Jason, I was like, I knew I had that dream, and it's not like, oh, I'm trying to connect with some long lost love or someone was trying to come through. Those feelings were not there at all. I said, I know this dream has meaning, but I just can't figure out what. And I said, "But it was really nice. It was really nice to intensely feel those feelings. I have never felt that in a dream, and I've only experienced it twice in this earthly incarnation, once with my past husband and then now with my partner, um, currently." And I said, "It was just so strange and so different." I said, "But it definitely was not me. I'm not gonna go look for this person. That was not the message." So sometimes my dreams take a long time and I have to talk about them too in order to start figuring out what they mean. So that was that dream. That was like Monday or so. In the middle of the week, I had another dream like that, except I don't remember any details from that dream other than it happened again. So I told my partner, I was like, "It happened again. I had a dream where I fell in love with somebody and the feelings were so intense and so beautiful. And it just put me in such a good mood. It was such a lovely dream." No memory of who it was or anything or of the dream. And then later in the week, at the end of the week, I had a very vivid dream about Post Malone. And so this one I remember a little more details. And this is where it gets a little funny too. So in this dream, I was somewhere trying to like really be myself and be authentic and just trying to be fully me. And Post Malone came by and we made eye contact with each other. And like what we made this eye contact with each other in the dream and just like fell instantly in love. Like I knew he fell in love with me and I fell in love with him. And when we finally got like face to face to talk to each other, he was like, "I can't talk to you yet until I go break up with my girlfriend." Even though he's married now. So this was probably, who knows. But he's like, "I have to go break up with my girlfriend because I don't want anything to start with you in any wrong terms." So we went to this like big meeting because it was like a meeting hall. I'm imagining, I guess, what a record label would be with management and stuff. He was talking about how his schedule needed to change in order to like fit me into it. And we barely knew each other. We only looked at each other the one time in the dream. And management was like, "Good, let's like figure this out." And the girlfriend came by really mad and she was like, "We have all these things we need to do and why haven't I heard from you?" And he's like, "We need to talk outside." And she's like, "We have plans, we need to go." And management's like, "You really should talk to Post Malone because there are some things you need to know. Your plans have changed." So essentially he broke up with her and obviously her plans changed because she was written out of the schedule. And now I was written into the time schedule, the planner with him. And we went to go to his concert where he was going to perform. And he gave me the mic and he said, "You're going to perform with me." And I was like, "What are you talking about? I can't perform with you. I don't know how to sing. I don't know how to do any of those things." And he's like, "Yes, you're going to perform and you're going to sing and we're going to have an amazing time." And I took the mic and I went and I did it. And it was so crazy and amazing. And then I woke up. That was the dream. So I really at that point started to put this together. These dreams were pretty much in an order. They were 1 week in time span. One, I fell in love with the American Indian man. The second one I fell in love with, I don't remember who, but it was a just intense dream of love. And then lastly, later in the week, I had an intense dream of Post Malone and I falling in love. And I was finally like told my um partner, I was like, "I have to Google this because usually I have a dream book I look into, and I have a few websites that I like to look at for the meaning of dreams." And I found on this Google my the meaning of the dream I had had, and I loved it, and it was so perfect for this timing. So what I had found was that having dreams of falling in love means that you're falling in love with yourself. You're having self love take place. And I definitely resonated with that because, like I said, I didn't feel this need to be like, "Oh, I need to connect with this lost person. I have somebody I need to go meet with. Jason's not the one." It wasn't those feelings at all. It was just like, that was a really fun dream to like fall in love. And in my sense, the only way I knew love was like fall in love romantically. So I was given like something I was familiar with. But at the end there, where Post Malone gave me the mic and told me to perform, it was about me falling in love with myself. And that's something I have never done. I had a lot of self-hate towards myself, a lot of insecurity. It's something I really battle. and I never really had self-love for myself. Being on my spiritual journey, it started kind of blossoming, started growing, but it was really hard. It was really difficult to read affirmations and do meditations about, I love myself. I love where I'm at. I love who I am. All those types of affirmations and meditations felt so uncomfortable for me. It was so hard to sit there. There's this one um girl I listened to on um Spotify. Let me look up her name really quick because I highly recommend her for meditating because it just I really meditated. I really resonated with it. It's purely being guided meditations. I really like her stuff, but to begin with, it was so hard to listen to the ones about loving yourself. Very uncomfortable. And I think that goes back to a part of doing the work. Like we've said, I have a whole podcast about how I feel about doing the work, but putting in the time to actually go through those exercises. And I have been doing those guided meditations and my physical program for about 3 or 4 years now. And it wasn't till now, 3 or 4 years later, that I really finally had this experience of falling in love with myself. And so, if you're on your journey of trying to love yourself and who you are, I really hope you take the time to meditate and to say those simple affirmations to yourself, as silly as you might feel, as uncomfortable as you might feel. You're going to have what I've now learned is your ego come through. This ego has just been trained by you for however long you've been self-hating yourself and self-doubting yourself, has been trained to come at you with the self-hate talk. And that's where my ego was at. My ego was so quick to tell me that I'm not good. I can't do that. I shouldn't do that. My counselor told me I needed to stop shoulding all over myself. No shoulding. And I had to take that into heart and work with it because I would always go with the shoulds, and that was my ego coming in like I should have done this. I should have said that. I could have done better. I should have done better. All of those types of self-talk talk things that weren't of love and really came from a wounded ego area. So, if you haven't told yourself yet today, please tell yourself, I love me. I love me as I am. I accept me as I am. And I want to continue to fall in love with myself and my life each and every single day. So, as you go through life, just remind yourself of those things. That could really resonate with you really quickly, falling in love with yourself. It could take years, like it took me. It took me years to consider it, and then it even took years of me actively trying to do that. It took 4 years after to finally get there. And that's my story about how Post Malone and I are in love. So, if Post Malone ever listens to this, just know that in the astral world, you helped me fall in love with myself, really, at the end of the day. So, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. If you're just starting your spiritual path, I highly recommend that you go to ravenrabbit.com. I have a series up now. It's almost done, but the first few parts are up. It's Mystic Rise. If you're just starting out and you're just learning all of this stuff, you got to start somewhere. And sometimes just a commitment. That's why I made my products a more affordable and more attainable. It's really just to dip your toes into the world of metaphysics and just start to learn, and we'll see where the path takes you. Because I've explained too in my metaphysics courses that um there's so many entry points. There is no one defined entry point into metaphysics. There's so many things that have happened to us in our lives and in past lives, and we just need to get the little push to go. So I highly recommend you look into my Mystic Rise courses. I have 3 up. I really enjoy them. They were so fun to make, and I would love to see you in those classes and get to know you. Thank you for inviting me into your space now. I really appreciate it. And if you have the time and don't mind, please Rate this podcast, leave a comment. That way it can start making its way to others who need to hear the messages that I have and that Spirit has for them. Thank you so much. Love you. Thank you for listening. Expand the life, healing, and happiness of others in your field by sharing this episode. You can get more of my content and other helpful tips by following Raven Rabbit LLC on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Be sure to comment on Spotify and answer the episode's question so I can keep creating content you love and desire. Thank you so much.